All right. Well, now that we've given everyone a little bit of time to gather, just want to get started on the webinar. So you've got myself. I'm Tiffany Locke. I'll be hosting for today. I'm playing a little bit of Alex Trebek. We've also got Adam Schechter on the line, one of our AEs, and Alex Beller, who's going to be speaking today. So Alex, I'll let you take it away.
Hello, hello. Okay, so what a treat to be here today. Thanks everyone for joining us. I'm Alex Beller. I'm one of the co-founders and the president of Postscript. And if you don't know anything about Postscript or how you ended up here, we work exclusively with e-commerce companies, exclusively with brands that run on Shopify, helping them open up a new revenue stream with SMS marketing. So we work with thousands of brands, people like Native Deodorant, Steve Madden, Boosted Boards, and many others, helping them open a new mobile revenue channel with SMS. So today we're going to cover specifically a bunch of different ways to increase upsells and increase customer LTV with SMS. But we're also going to cover the basics of text marketing. So things like compliance, what's good creative versus bad creative, and some other fundamentals. But by all means, feel free to ask questions, type them in as you go, submit them, and we will answer them all at the end. Let's get started. So first, taking a step back, why is SMS happening right now? It's interesting because when we started Postscript about a year ago, no merchants were doing SMS. It was very, very early. And now it's a pretty common thing. Something is happening very quickly in the market. And the reason for this is several pronged. So the first is that on the acquisition side, everybody knows that the channel with the most scale to acquire new customers is Facebook and Instagram. And year over year, customer acquisition costs are increasing, making it even more important to have owned marketing channels like email or like SMS or like web push notifications, to have channels that you can get back to customers without paying Facebook per click. At the same time, mobile traffic continues to increase year over year. This is a trend we've been seeing for a while, where desktop percentage share of e-commerce traffic is declining. And so having channels that really speak to mobile traffic are getting more important. Some other aspects, as you can see in the graph on the right, is that email engagement is declining year over year. And this trend isn't going to reverse. Things like the promotions tab on Gmail and people being signed up for more and more and more email addresses, or more and more email lists. In general, that channel is decaying. Email's been used for e-commerce marketing for over 20 years now. So engagement rates are continuing to decline. And the last aspect of why SMS is really taking hold and growing right now for e-com marketers is that for the first time ever, customers are ready. People use SMS and text messaging, whether it's iMessage or whether it's plain text, they use it. It's such a core part of their own communication dynamics that people are finally ready to hear from brands as well. So all these factors together are accounting for why there's this big push into SMS, the search for a mobile-first owned marketing channel, but one that focuses on mobile traffic. The most interesting part about it, though, is how effective text can be. So here are some high-level benchmarks that we see across the Postscript user base. You cannot text people the same amount that you email them. I personally, if a brand texted me 7 days a week, like they emailed me, I would unsubscribe, I would respond with some pretty nasty stuff. But if it's used as a little bit more sensitive of a channel, and if it's used to get out messaging that's really, really important and really, really relevant, maybe once, twice per week, it can drive incredible engagement. Look at these numbers: 98% open rates, 7.5 to 35% click-through rates, and overall 25x ROI. These are metrics from Postscript, and these are not like one account that's doing great. These are averages over the course of 2019 so far that our customer base is seeing. Incredible engagement for such a low-cost channel. So in order to talk about how to do SMS marketing well, everything starts with compliance. And so before getting into all the upsell techniques that we're seeing brands do, we're going to start with a little seminar on compliance. Now, normally people think when they start SMS, they think, oh, this is like with email. I have to get opt-ins, but I don't really have to. I can email people anyway. It doesn't matter. Things with text marketing are fundamentally different. It's governed by something called the TCPA, which is the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. This is a US regulation and is the most strict in the world. And what it means is that if you don't get explicit written consent from customers before texting them, the penalties will range between $500 and $1,500 per message. Explicit written consent can mean a few different things. We'll show those examples in a minute. But what this means is that if you want to start texting your customers and you plug in an SMS tool and you send a text to people from last year that never opted in properly, maybe you message 10,000 people. You're liable for $5 million in damages from a class action lawsuit at the low end, from a one single campaign to 10,000 people. So SMS risk is really large. There are full-time lawyers out there who all they do is look for cases because the penalties are so big. So it's not worth taking risks. All that fear-mongering aside, though, there's a few ways to set up compliance to be airtight so that you have nothing to worry about. And when you install Postscript, we walk you through step-by-step how to set your store up to be fully compliant, and that way you can sleep at night, you have nothing to worry about. So let's look at some examples. On the left, you see a standard Shopify checkout page. And you can see that under where it says email or mobile phone, there's a checkbox. The checkbox says, keep me up to date with news and exclusive offers via email and or text messages. And the box is unchecked. Then down at the bottom with the phone field, it says exclusive offers per checkbox above. And then at the very bottom of the page in blue, it says, I agree to receive recurring automated text messages, yada, yada, yada. These three aspects constitute explicit written consent. What that means is that there's no way for someone to enter their phone number and check the box without realizing that they're signing up to receive text marketing from you. There's no way they're going to be surprised to end up on the list. The box needs to be unchecked. It can't be pre-filled. Another version of this is in the middle, where because this brand didn't want to compromise by seeing a reduction in their email opt-in rates, instead, they added an SMS marketing opt-in box below the phone field at the bottom. It's unchecked, the same consent language is there, and these are all the updates required to make your checkout compliant in order to pull in a new subscriber base that is clearly opting into SMS. So ideally how this would work is you would come into Postscript, you would go through onboarding, which would have you set up your checkout in this way. You would activate Postscript. And boom, right away, you would be able to start building your list of people opting in at checkout. But then you would say, hey, well, how can I grow this list faster? What does like a pop-up look like for SMS? Because I want to get 98% open rates across as many people as I can. So there's a really cool user flow that we're showing on the right side of the screen here that is unique to SMS and to Postscript, where you can create short links that when clicked by someone on their phone, actually route people direct to their text messaging app, and a pre-filled opt-in message is sitting there. The user hits send and they're subscribed. So take a second to look through this GIF again. Click, pre-fill, send the message, subscriber confirmation. This flow on the right can be used in a pop-up, it can be placed in an Instagram story, it can be put in an email, and anyone who clicks on their mobile device will be taken through the SMS marketing opt-in flow. This is also a compliant way to gather opt-ins as the users actually send the first text themselves. So again, there's no way users would be surprised that they end up receiving text from you later on. So these are all forms of compliant opt-ins, and how Postscript works is we take care of all compliance for you. So we make it so there's no way you'll get yourself into trouble sending non-compliant texts. We'll force you guys to use opt-in methods shown on this screen. We'll give you the proper terms of service updates, and we'll even automate other compliance things like nighttime sends. We automatically hold texts overnight for them to go out the next morning, and other aspects like that. So if you have any questions on compliance, feel free to drop them in and we'll address them at the end of the webinar. Let's move forward to looking at creative. So, creative. You guys wouldn't believe the texts we see go out. If we look at the right, this is just a mishmash. It's a real live example from Postscript. There's a few different calls to action. There's a mention of Amazon. There's no link. Reply stop to unsubscribe is buried in the middle. There's a code. There's an emoji. The spacing is weird. We see text like this go out. If as a user, if I got that sort of text, I would immediately block the phone number. I would unsubscribe. I would feel like someone had hacked me in some way. Instead, on the left is a creative example that I made, actually, from the CBD water brand Recess, who has amazing creative. You guys should go check them out. And this is an example of a great text announcing a new flavor drop, which is a great example of a campaign. So if we analyze this, the text starts with the brand name, Recess. It includes my first name, Alex, right? The message is personalized, which is something you can do with Postscript. There's some clean spacing, a fun emoji is used. The language actually mirrors what a good text would be to a friend of yours, right? Say hello to Blackberry Chai, an unlikely but fire pairing that we're here for. And then there's a clear call to action at the end. This is a great, simple example. And all I did to make this is I went onto the brand's Instagram and I copied an image and some language that they'd already written up. This is because SMS is such an easy channel to launch. You can just borrow the creative that's already made for your email and your Instagram and social channels. And you can assemble a great SMS or a great text with minimal work. Let's move forward and break that down a little bit further. So on the left is another example of a really strong creative that I'll be honest, I made for this brand Recess I like. Beautiful image, really fun poetic structure. It's broken down into a few little phrases, each with a relevant emoji, and then it ends in a really clean call to action. As a user, I'm excited to get something like this. No brands are texting me. And so I'm going to read it, I'm going to engage, and because I like the brand and I explicitly opted into text updates, I'm probably gonna click. So on the right, you can see a breakdown of all the aspects that make up a good creative message. It's personalizing the name and also personalizing the audience list it's being sent to using Postscript, right? Maybe targeting based off things they've purchased previously. It's using a very specific brand voice, a good image, emojis, good formatting, and really speaking in like first person if you can. So now taking a look at campaigns in general. So we talked about compliance, which really speaks to how to grow your list and how to build a big SMS list. Now, once you're growing your list, you want to start making money from it. And the ways to do that are twofold. The first is campaigns, which are big one-off blast sends that should be a reflection of your marketing calendar. These are great for announcing new products, like the example on the right, which is announcing a debut shoe collection, or back in stock alerts on the left, sending a big one-off push to announce a product is back in stock. These are also good for running discounts, promotions, holidays, a new flavor launch, anything that is a one-off announcement or push going to a targeted section of your SMS list. The other side of marketing via text are automations. And so these are like flows that hit people, that hit your users based on where they are in the customer journey. Examples of this are abandoned carts or a welcome series or a post-purchase upsell. And this is really what we're going to focus on in the rest of the webinar today, is what does an upsell strategy look like with SMS? How can you utilize this channel to extend the LTV of your customer base to keep them coming back again and again? Because if they're a mobile visitor, it's an amazing channel for it because they're going to open every message you get. So looking at the first one, this is really fundamental. It's called a pairing automation. Another way to think of it is a cross-sell. So using Postscript, you can target your automations to go out to your user base after they purchase based on what they bought. An example of this is, let's say you're like a yoga or a fitwear brand. We've seen some of our merchants, after a customer buys a sports bra, but they've never bought yoga pants before, sending a text out 3 weeks after purchase of that sports bra, encouraging them to, hey, come back to the site, buy this corresponding set of yoga pants, complete the look. That's a great example of a pairing automation. Another example is looking at other types of products in your catalog that fit really well together. Like on the left, this example of users who bought a necklace, then encouraging them to buy the corresponding or matching set of earrings a few weeks later. The text is written from Jane, which makes it seem really, really personal. And that makes it seem like it's a personal recommendation or personal cross-sell. And we see this as a highly effective automation upsell strategy. The next one is post-purchase customer check-ins. So what this is speaking to is using the high engagement of text marketing to check in with customers after they buy. Now, at first, this doesn't seem like it's a marketing message, but it's incredibly effective. So let's say I bought a pair of shoes, and a week after the order ships, I get a text saying, hey, how was your fit? Do you need like a different size? Reply here if you have questions. Getting that sort of personal touch from a brand that I bought from is going to make me feel really engaged. It's going to excite me. And I may even reply and be like, hey, they fit great. Or I may say, you know what? Could you help me swap these out for a size 11s because the shoes are a little too big? Like things like that are post-purchase customer support check-ins are a great non-marketing way to drive additional upsells and to get your users to come back again in the future. Next is even a more hands-on look at customer success. So what we're showing here is actually a screenshot from one of our technical integrations with Gorgeous, which is a popular customer support help desk. And how this works and why you need to be using an SMS tool that enables responses is that people are programmed to text back. People were hardwired to reply to texts we get. So if similar to last slide, if you're running a post-purchase customer support check-in and you're encouraging your users to reply with any questions, concerns, issues, or help they need, you want that text back to be connected to your customer support team. So Postscript offers integrations with Zendesk, Gorgeous, and any other help desk you may use, even if it's just a raw support email account, where any customer replies will be opened up as a ticket with your customer help desk team. Your team can reply there, and Postscript takes that reply and texts it back out to the customer. So the customer experiences it as one continuous thread. This is, again, a holistic strategy where you can turn your customer support agents almost into personalized salespeople to upsell your customer base when they reply in. So a use case we see all the time, to stick with the example of shoes, is someone texts back looking for help. Maybe they need a different shoe size. The customer support member helps them out. They remedy it. Then they look at the customer's purchase history and they send them a personalized recommendation of the next product they should buy. Hey, have you seen like this new drop that launched on Tuesday? Getting a text from a human recommending a product for them to buy based on their purchase history, it's so personalized. We see incredible engagement with this strategy, and it's a really successful upsell technique. This is my personal favorite of the bunch, strategy number 4. This applies only to subscription brands. So another one of the integrations that Postscript offers is with Recharge, which if you offer subscriptions to your audience through Shopify, there's a good chance that you utilize Recharge to do so. How this works is we have plugged into Recharge's payment API, which that means you can send automated texts out to your customers before their next package ships from their subscription. So maybe 3 days before an order goes out, you can text your customers and it'll say, hey, your package is about to ship in 3 days. Your razor blades are in there for $10. Do you want to add our new shaving cream? Reply yes to do so. And so we've plugged into their system so that the customers can reply yes. And if they do, we will automatically add the additional product, in this case, shaving cream, to their upcoming order, and we will charge their card. So for a customer, this allows them a way to pause their subscription, to pass on a month, or to upsell via text message. They don't have to go to a landing page. They don't have to pull their payment information out again. It's all via text, which is an incredibly frictionless way to drive additional revenue and upsells. The next strategy is post-purchase abandoned carts and thank you messages. So abandoned carts are a staple of e-commerce marketing. We all know them. And we see brands using SMS and the immediacy of SMS to get people to not only convert on their abandoned carts, but also to incentivize additional purchases. So like in the example we have here, it's an abandoned cart text message. And in this specific flow, if the customer goes back and completes their order, they get another text, boom, right away, saying, hey, thanks so much for your order. If there's anything else on site that you liked, feel free to click this link, get 10% off for the next 10 minutes. And you can use like those thank yous and a targeted abandoned cart flow to drive additional purchases afterward. Looking at our last upsell strategy for today, number 6, it's a deeper dive at abandoned carts using our segmentation tooling. So a huge point of ROI that we see is brands that segment their abandoned carts to new customers versus existing. This is very easy to do. And with SMS, it can't be faked like it can on email address. People won't keep putting in new phone numbers every time. So they'll only have one customer file. And that allows you to look at it when a customer abandons their cart, to look and see, oh, they've bought from us multiple times before. We know they're a loyal customer. We don't need to offer them a purchase incentive. Via the new customers who you really want to convert for the first time, they can be in a separate abandoned cart flow where maybe there's a 10% off or some other purchase incentive, free shipping, in order to get them to convert for the first time. So this is a tried and true strategy. We highly recommend it. If you guys are doing SMS right now and you only have one abandoned cart flow, you're giving away free money. You need to segment it out and break it down into new customers versus existing. And for those loyal customers, it's completely fine to have a smaller purchase incentive on your abandoned carts. So that was a very quick run through a bunch of upsell techniques that we're seeing work well, along with compliance and how to think about campaigns. At this time, are there any questions that I can answer or address that people are interested in hearing?
Hey, Alex, I think there are actually 2 or 3 questions that came in. So one of the questions is, how do responses actually work in SMS? And what are some of the best practices?
How does what? Could you bring that up again?
How do responses actually work? Like when someone responds to your text message?
Yeah. So this varies between different SMS tools. I can confidently say that Postscript has the best response infrastructure that exists. So how it works is that we have tracked and we are watching every single conversational thread that's going out to your customer base. And so how responses work is we're seeing messages go out to a unique phone number on either end. And when your customers reply, we take that reply and we assign it back to your account. So you can view all responses inside of Postscript, or you can connect them to one of the help desk tools out there, like an email account or like Gorgeous or like Zendesk, where your team can manage them like they would an email support ticket. They can close it out or they can reply. And if they reply, we take that message and we text it back to the user. So for your customers, they feel like they're just having a steady text conversation all in one place, but your team gets to manage it out of your normal help desk.
Cool, thanks. And then there is another question here. What are some best practices to grow your SMS list?
Yes. So getting checkout set up is easy. It's low-hanging fruit. There's no reason not to do it. There also won't be a conversion hit, especially if you add a secondary checkbox at the bottom of the page, which, can we go back to slide 7 to look at that?
Oop, did I miss it? Sorry.
A few more. There it is. So if we look at the middle example, they've added an additional checkbox to gather consent for SMS. So this won't impact conversion because you're not forcing people to do it. It's completely optional. Get this set up right away. Also, we strongly recommend testing or just adopting an SMS one-click pop-up like shown on the right. The design is customizable, the pre-filled language is customizable, but because your users don't have to type anything in, we see a much higher conversion rate on those. It converts between 2.5 and 3.5 times better than an email-focused mobile pop-up where users have to type in their email address. There's way more friction there. The other ways to grow your list are adding similar one-click opt-in links in your email flows, adding them across social media, doing some big pushes, and even thinking about putting an acquisition spend behind phone numbers. So running Facebook lead advertising to build up your SMS subscriber list. That is a little bit more technical, and it relies on working with the Postscript team in order to set it up compliantly, but we have expertise there. And so there's a bunch of different ways and a bunch of different levers to grow your list. And what we normally recommend for people starting out is to come in, partner up with one of our customer success managers. They are experts in building your lists. They will advise you, they will make sure it's compliant, and it'll be a multi-pronged approach from setting up a pop-up, getting it set up at checkout, doing a push to your existing email list, and trying out with some paid spend as well.
Great. Any other questions? All right, I think there's actually one last question. In terms of getting started, what should folks look for, Alex?
Sure. So we do not see SMS work with certain brands, but not others. It's so early that almost any brand will see incredible ROI with this channel because engagement is just so high. We see brands that have one product and their single SKU. We see retailers using SMS. We see digitally native brands, and we see brick and mortar stores doing it. It's very, very broad, and there's not a particular category. What I would recommend as a way to get started is come into Postscript, submit a request for a demo, and work with us and our customer success team to build out a strategy that fits with your guys' brand. Even if you just have questions, maybe you think this is a fit down the road and you just want to learn a bit more, I really encourage you to connect with our team. We will build a targeted plan just for your brand. We'll help with creative and best practices, but you don't need to have a big existing list in order to see ROI here. You can get started. You'll see revenue immediately in month 1. ROI will be strong, and it's a great time to get started now before Q4 so that when Black Friday comes around, you already have a big SMS list that you can text people through. Awesome. So Tiffany, for anyone interested, what is the best way for them to follow up with us?
Yeah, definitely. So after this webinar, so first of all, thanks everyone for joining. After the webinar, I'll send a quick summary email just with a copy of this webinar with some of the slides, and just feel free to respond to that email. I'll triage it to the right place, or they can just actually download the app, the Shopify app too, and get started. So there's a lot of different ways to get started, but I'll be sending an email after this.
Awesome. Thanks everybody for your time today and your engagement, and we'll be doing a lot more of these moving forward, covering all aspects of SMS and strategy and how it should fit in. So if there's any topics in particular that you want us to cover, don't be shy.
Great. Thanks for joining, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.